Here we go. All right. So here is our CompTIA Security Plus certification exam objectives, right? These objectives are going to tell you what you need to know for the exam, right? What concepts are important. All right. So CompTIA numbers their exams. Their exams would be, SYO, 501, 401, right? And we're all the way up to 701, right? So they make very different changes, sometimes minute, small changes to their exams, okay? Excuse me. So some of that means that, hey, let's change up some of the questions, let's change up some of the concepts, etc. All right. Now we'll tell you this this list of objectives is very robust, right? But do not fear, right? Do not be intimidated. Everything blends together when it comes to learning the material. Okay, so you learn one thing about encryption, you'll learn something about encryption in another chapter. Okay, they talk about the same things over and over again, right? So it becomes redundant, but it looks like it's a lot of things you have to learn. Okay, so just note that concepts come and return in different chapters. Okay, chapter one may be similar to chapter four. Chapter four may be similar to chapter seven, right? You're just going more in depth on the same topics. All right. So let's look at some of the objectives. All right. So what do we need to know about the exam? All right. So the CompTIA Security Plus certification exam will certify the successful candidate that has the knowledge and skills required to, number one, assess the security posture of an enterprise environment and recommend and implement appropriate security solutions. Okay. When you're taking this exam, you're not expected to know like a whole enterprise system. Okay. This is just verbiage just to say, hey, this looks good. This is really good to give to students to be passed to a certification body. We want to make it look fancy. We want to make it look legit, right? But when you're taking the exam, they're not expecting you to understand how to assess a security posture of a enterprise system, right? But they want you to know common risk assessments or risk-based solutions for cybersecurity environments. Okay. They also say, hey, we want you to understand how to monitor secure hybrid environments, including cloud, mobile, and IoT, the Internet of Things. Okay. So if we have a cloud environment, if we have a mobile environment, right, how are we making it more secure so that nothing is, left out in the open, nothing is breachable, right? At the end of the day, things will always get breached, right? It's about how you protect these devices, right? How do you protect your cloud environment? How do you protect your mobile environment? How do you protect the IoT environment? Okay. Internet of Things is, hey, your smartwatch, maybe a smart fridge. That is Internet of Things, right? Very low powered devices that have computers in them or chips in them. Okay. So that's what you need to understand for that point. And then the third thing to say is, hey, we want to we want you to operate with awareness of applicable regulations and policies, including principles of governance, risk, and compliance. Okay. You hear people talk about GRC, and GRC is something that's very important because it's federally mandated. Okay. If something's federally mandated, that means it has to be enacted. All right. So they want you to know a little bit about risk management principles like NIST, NIST, SOX, which is Sarbanes-Oxley, maybe a little bit of PCI DSS, which is the financial credit card industry's way of protecting security systems. So that's another thing. All right. So understanding the basics of risk management concepts is something that you need to know for the exam. And then the last point is, hey, identify, analyze, and respond to security events and incidents. Okay, so if we have a security event or incident, what is the best way to make sure we are handling that situation in an efficient manner and a smart manner? Okay, so if a breach comes to our network, right, and you see that there are many requests coming to the server, well, then you can understand that, hey, number one, I'm being breached. And number two, it might be a botnet, right? BOTNET, a botnet, right? A server is sending millions of requests to my server to overload it and to exhaust it and therefore bring it down. Okay. So that's how we go and analyze situations in cybersecurity, right? We have to understand what it is, how can we rectify it, how can we contain it, right? And how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? Or if it does, we have the proper response for it. Okay, so that is going to be some of the things a successful candidate knows for the exam. Okay, so when it says exam development, right? CompTIA exams result from subject matter expert workshops and industry-wide survey results regarding the skills and knowledge required in IT, right? So they're getting, exam objectives, what to know about the exams. They're getting feedback from people all across the world, excuse me, in cybersecurity and IT, right? That's how they develop this, right? You don't have to know about the policies. Um, there's a bunch of legal jargon, right? But let's go down a little bit more. Sorry, this was a little bit delayed. All right. So the maximum is 90 questions. Sometimes you get 75 questions, right? But the maximum is 90 questions, no more, right? No more and sometimes less, right? My last Security Plus exam I took like maybe 5 years ago. I think I had 75 questions, right? And then you also have five practice-based questions, which are sometimes usually drag and drop or um, it could be, hey, uh, what does this sound like? This is a virus that hides in a legitimate software. Well, that's the Trojan horse virus, right? So that's one thing they can do. Sometimes you may have to configure a network, right? But we'll work through that, right? Those are the things you must understand, right? So they say, hey, a minimum of 2 years experience in IT administration with a focus of security. You don't have to have 2 years of experience in IT. You can just pass the exam because, again, at the end of the day, it is an exam. You study for it like you study for any other exam, right? So you don't have to have the recommended experience. Some people don't even have experience in cybersecurity and they get their CISSP within a year of being in cybersecurity, and that's because they just study for it or they'll do a boot camp, right? But at the end of the day, no one should ever put a limit on when you want to take an exam or when you want to better your life, okay? Better your income, etc. Right? So, 2 years, you don't need it, right? It's good if you do have it, yeah, but at the end of the day, there's people in IT that have been working in IT for 20 years and are, they don't take the exam or sometimes they don't do well in the exam because they are not studying for it properly, right? But what we do here is we make sure that you pass, right? Because partly, number one, we need to make sure that you get this information and we need to make sure that you're successful because that's what keeps us going. That's what our motivation is. And number two, we have to report to the government and the local government in Texas, right? And they need to know that we're passing people or we'll get shut down. So I just want to put that out there, but no pressure, no pressure. All right. All right, so let's go into the exam objectives, right? What are some of the domains, right? The domains of cybersecurity and the Security Plus exam. Well, the first domain is general security concepts, right? What are some general security concepts, right? That's going to be 12% of the exam, right? So, hey, if you don't really do well in the section, it's not going to count a lot, right? Um, but the next couple sessions are going to count, right? So number two is threats, vulnerabilities, and mitigations, right? You're learning about viruses, you're learning about threats, you're learning about how to mitigate those viruses and threats, right? That's 22% of the exam, right? Security architecture, that's 18%. All right. Hey, what is some security architecture? Well, do we have some on-premises or cloud infrastructure like a database or maybe we have a cold site, a warm site, and a hot site when our database goes down and we need to go to a warehouse that we can build our infrastructure from scratch again. right? And then security operations, right? Security operations is a big percentage on the exam, right? 28%. So the chapters that have security operations, yeah, that's going to be something you need to pay attention to. And then security program management and oversight, right? So how are we doing program management? How are we overseeing security systems, right? That's a big thing. All right. So we have a total of 5 domains. Okay. So um I'll save the questions to the end. So make sure you write down your questions, all right? Because this could be a bit of a long document. So number one is general security concepts, okay? So we have compare and contrast various types of security controls. We have our security controls right here, technical, managerial, operational, physical, preventative, deterrent, detective, corrective, compensating, directive. Okay, it looks like a lot, but I promise you it is easy once you start looking at it. Okay, what are some technical controls? Okay, well, some technical controls are, hey, you need to press a button or, scan in before you walk into the office. All right. If you go in the offices, you see those little gates that open, you have to scan your badge, right? That's a technical control, right? Managerial controls, right? You know, if I have people working under me, what can they do, right? With the system? What can I allow them to do, right? So we'll go through those security concepts. We'll compare and contrast various types of security controls. All right, fundamental security concepts. This is what you'll learn this week. Okay, so I talked about the CIA triad, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? There's also non-repudiation, right? That says that, hey, that person did what they did, and there's no denying that, right? So whatever they said he did it. All right, that's non-repudiation. Then you have AAA, right? Not AAA the service, but AAA as in cybersecurity. Authentication, authorization, and accounting, right? We have to authenticate people to come in our system. We have to authorize them to use certain resources, and we have to account for them. Did Brittany use this database at this time? Well, yes, she did, and she did a lovely job. All right. Then we have a gap analysis, zero trust. Okay, so this is going to be more so of fundamental cybersecurity concepts, right? We have honeypots, honey nets, uh, and then we have other things like physical security, bollards, right? A bollard is what they put in the front of the building, so cars don't come crashing into the building, right? Those are bollards. Access control vestibule, fencing, video surveillance, security guards, access badges, lighting. Yes, lighting is a physical security control. Let's shine the light on those prisoners escaping from the jail, right? Sensors, infrared, etc. Right? So we'll go through all of that. All right. More things in chapter one, right? Business processes, right? Approval processes, ownership, stakeholders, technical implementations, allow lists and deny lists, right? We allow certain people on the database or on the server. We deny certain people that come on the database or the server, or we deny programs. We deny applications, documentation, right? What are some diagrams that we have to look at? All right. So these are the things that you have to understand in this first chapter. All right. This is where it gets a little tricky, all right? So when we come to cryptographic solutions, right? We're going to talk a lot about encryption in the chapters. You'll see public key infrastructure, and that is the last chapter. So we're going to save the last chapter for last because everything will come all, full circle, okay? Excuse me if you hear a little bit of moving around. We're preparing for tomorrow, so. All right, but don't worry about this chapter. We got you. You covered. Threats, vulnerabilities, and mitigation. So I think this is like one of my favorite chapters when going through this. I think you guys will love it when you're going through the Security Plus exam in the cohort, right? So we talk about different threat actors, right? Threat actors are people who may penetrate systems or breach systems. So believe it or not, we have nation states like China, Russia, um, Ukraine, etc. Right? Those are going to be nation states, and then unskilled attackers, attackers that don't make their own scripts or anything like that, or their own programs. They use other people's programs. Hacktivist is someone that hacks, uh, a database for political reasons. For example, we heard of the Panama Files a few years back, um, which people were, showing what the wealthy and the rich did to evade taxes, etc. Right? We'll learn about that, and we'll learn about the motivations. Right? Some of them could be financial gain, blackmail, ethical reasons, revenge, right? Disruption, chaos, war. Right? We'll go through all that. All right. And then we'll talk about some common threat vectors. Okay. So threat vectors means how is the virus delivered, right? Is it delivered through email? Is it delivered through SMS, right? When you get those SMS messages and they say, hey, UPS has delivered something to your door, but we can't deliver it. Press this link. Yeah, don't press that link. Because what will happen is maybe sometimes they would install a rootkit on your phone where it takes control of your whole phone, and then yeah, they're tracking all of your apps and recording you. All right. So please, when you get those UPS text messages on your phone, please don't click them. All right. Um, but we'll learn about that. Okay. We'll learn about various vulnerabilities. Okay. We have a few here, right? Memory injections, end of life firmware, etc., jailbreaking. You probably heard of some of these, right? And then one of my favorite parts of this is, I think, believe in chapter 6. We go through the malware attacks. So of course, some of y'all have heard of ransomware, Trojans, worms, spyware, bloatware, viruses. Physical attack is brute force, right? Actually tearing down a door or a wall to get into the server room, etc. And then you have your application attacks, your cryptographic attacks, etc. All right. We go down here. We're looking at more of mitigation techniques. Okay. So when these things happen, right? How do we mitigate these before they even happen or when they happen? Right. So we have least privilege, configuration enforcement, monitoring, decommissioning, patching, encryption. You hear about encryption everywhere. And then we have our security architecture, right? So what is some of our security architecture? Well, we have the cloud, right? In the cloud, you have a responsibility matrix. The cloud software like AWS or Azure can only do so much. If you start making mistakes, that's on you, right? So there's a cloud responsibility matrix. There's hybrid considerations, right? Third-party vendors, right? We'll start to go into cloud infrastructure like, hey, what is a SaaS, right? SaaS. That is software as a service. We have software as a service. We're using one now, which is Zoom. Okay. AWS is the infrastructure as a service, right? You can use the infrastructure on AWS, right? Of course, they have physical databases, but we're renting out a piece of the cloud, right? What is centralized and decentralized? What is virtualization? Um, where does cost come in? Where does scalability come in, right? This is all considerations of security architecture, right? And this is what we go through as security professionals day by day. And I promise you, it does look intimidating, but by the end of the cohort, you will be a master at this, right? So, what else do we have? We have device placement, attack surfaces, uh, port security. Okay. So when we start to learn about networking, that's going to be one of the more challenging parts, but we'll make sure that everyone has a good understanding of it for the test, right? And as we start to do the labs, as you start to work with contractors, you'll start to get a better understanding of what we do. Okay. And feel free, you don't have to write all of these things down. You're going to get this in the Discord. This is also publicly available online. All right. So you'll have this to reference. Okay. So we'll do that, but it's just good to go through. Right. And then furthermore in chapter 3, right? Excuse me. Furthermore in domain 3, someone has a question? Okay. Baron, I'll send you the Discord link in a second, okay? Um, Further in domain 3, right, we talk about different types of data, right? There's a lot of different data. right? You have your regulated, your trade secrets, your intellectual property, your legal information, right? And then if we go more so, we have private, critical, restricted, etc., right? There's a lot to do with data, but the important piece is how do we secure data, right? And what are some of the data considerations, right? The data states, data at rest, right? When data is just chilling in the database, we have to encrypt that. When data is in transit, when it's coming from your computer and my computer right now, there's data between all our computers going to the Zoom server, all right? And that's data in motion or data in transit, right? Within that, we have to make sure that it's encrypted, right? Because we don't want hackers, jumping in on a session or, looking at what we're talking about, right? But most of the time we have to have data considerations. Also, data in use, right? When the data is being used, how are we encrypting it, right? How are we protecting it when it's traveling through the internet? Okay. You'll learn about resiliency and recovery, right? I talked about hot, cold, and warm sites or geographic dispersions, right? When we have our databases, uh, we have to make sure that the data is in places where it's geographically safe. Okay. So putting your database in California, you can do that, right? But you don't want to put it in a place where that there's a lot of earthquakes. Or say we're in Houston, right? Houston has a lot of flooding, right? You don't want to build a data center or a data warehouse where it's a flood zone, right? Because obviously your customers need the data or we need the data, et cetera, right? So this is something that is very critical within security architecture. All right. And then we go to security operations. So what are we learning in security operations? All right. So, hey, we're deploying and maintaining secure baselines, right? The secure baseline just basically means that, hey, we are making sure that when we launch a new security appliance, right? Let's say we launch a router, we need to make sure that number one, if we launch a router, the first thing you got to do is change the default password because if someone knows the default password to the router, then yeah, your network is pretty much in someone else's hands, right? So we have secure baselines. When we get a new appliance, what do we do to make it secure from the get-go? All right. Hardening targets, how do we harden infrastructure? When we say hardening in cybersecurity, it is basically secure baselines and making sure that we make the device, just, uh, I wouldn't say breach free, but how do we make it where people do not get into the devices easy? Okay, so that's hardening. We'll learn about wireless. We'll learn about the wireless security settings. We'll learn about Wi-Fi. All right. So we go down, we have a little bit more things about software, hardware, ownership, classification, inventory. And if we go down here, this is more about the vulnerability management process. So within um, the cohort, you'll have a vulnerability management hands-on class, right? And you'll learn about, CVSS scores and CVEs. CVEs are common vulnerability enumerations. So you'll learn about how we classify viruses that's in a database. Sometimes if database has viruses and, sometimes we have to accept it, right? We can't really do much about it. Or sometimes we have a timeline where we have to say, hey, we have to get these viruses out the database in 7 days or 28 days, etc. All right. So you'll learn about that. You'll learn about auditing. You'll learn about reporting. We have even the dark web, right? We'll learn a little bit about what the dark web is and how to make sure that we're safe from the dark web. And then also alerting and monitoring concepts, right? So you'll learn more about security appliances like your firewalls, your IDSs, your web filters, DLP, etc., and then access to identity management, etc. Okay. If we go down to security program management, um, this has to do with a lot of guidelines and policies, right? Paperwork, change management, onboarding, offboarding, SDLC, right? risk management process, right? Ad hoc, recurring, um, one-time assessments, right? Risk owners, risk threshold, right? So if you're someone like me that is in risk management, right, a lot of this is just people management, okay, and understanding what we have to do with um, management in cybersecurity. How do we manage risk, and what are some risk management strategies and mitigation? Okay, so I will have y'all go through this. You can go through this on your own, but I will show you the acronym list, right? And we're going to learn these acronyms. It is a beast of acronyms, okay? So we will go through these, but as we learn, right, you're not going to be using all these acronyms on the exam, right? It looks crazy, I know, right? But you're not going to be using every single last one of these acronyms because that is crazy, right? They don't list everything, and what you'll learn in the chapters, you're not going to use all those concepts, right? It's only a maximum 90 question test, right? And sometimes you may get 75 questions, right? They can't stuff everything in the exam, right? But what I want you to know is, hey, if you see a concept, you can at least give me one sentence on the concept, right? We do not expect everyone to know everything, memorize everything 100%, right? We just want you to say, hey, I can speak a little bit about this concept or what they asked me about, right? They want you to know a little bit about everything, right? And that's how we pass the exam, okay? So with this Security Plus exam, the good thing about it is repetition, 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 okay? So what we usually do is we have you do practice questions every single night. Okay. So when we have our practice questions every single night, we're doing 10 to 15 questions every night. And I promise you, doing those 10 to 15 questions every single night will help you leading up to when you take the exam. Why? We want to have repetition, right? We want to understand questions, right? But it's really all about muscle memory, right? Hey, what is a wireless router? Well, this is a wireless router. Boom. Um, and the questions, you'll get questions and you'll have those answers there, right? And what you're looking for in the answer is an answer that does not belong, an answer that does not make sense with the question, right? This is how we suss out, right? Any clues or understand what it's asking us. You want to make sure that we read the questions, we understand it. We understand, is it asking us about confidentiality? Is it asking us about integrity? Or is it asking us about availability, right? And then we look at the answers. Well, this answer doesn't make sense. Why would this answer be there? It's just an answer that is just randomly there, okay? And then we go from there, right? We want to spend at least no more than 1 minute on each questions, right? And the good thing about the exam is that you can you can flag a lot of the questions. So once you flag the questions, you're able to go back and look at them before you submit, okay? Which is really good. All right. Anybody have any questions so far about the exam objectives or the tests in general? Go ahead, Bree.
Um, you were saying the test. I was wondering, is it primarily multiple choice, or will there be like a written portion, scenario based? Um, what can we expect on the exam? What type of exam will it be?
Absolutely. Good question. So the exam primarily is multiple choice. Okay. Scenario based, hey, if you're doing this and we need this outcome, what is the the answer or the solution to that outcome? Okay. Primarily multiple choice, and then you have five or between 3 and 5 practice-based questions. With the practice-based questions, they're going to be like, hey, match or compare and contrast or configure this in a correct manner. Okay. So that's what you're looking at. Me, I'm a person that, if I do multiple choice, um, I do really well with multiple choice because I'm just like, I know I figure out the answer with repetition, but you may not be that, you may be like, hey, I need to understand what they're talking about, or, I'm more of a, theory-based person. I like to write things out, but the multiple choice really helps you when it comes to figuring out or sussing out the answers, right? Because they purposely put in an answer in there that just has no relation to the question at all, right? It's just there randomly. But also sometimes they'll put in a trick answer in there and you'll be like, oh, well, this is kind of throws me for a loop because some of these answers look like they can apply to this question, right? So that's what we have to watch out for. Go ahead, Fabiola.
Thank you for having us.
No
Uh,
problem.
can I follow with the book or
Hey, you got the book. Okay, let's
I can
go.
follow with this, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
all I needed to
Oh,
know.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we if you want to get the physical book, just let me know in the chapter and we'll reimburse you for the physical book. But we have the PDF online, so we just don't believe. And if one person got the book, everyone has the book. You know, I did that in college, so I don't know what y'all did, but that was me in college. All right. Any other questions about the exam objectives? Okay. I'll give it a minute before I go into the next thing. And those exam objectives will also be put into the Discord for your sake.
Just a follow-up question about the exam.
Mhm.
Are these, the practice-based questions, are they weighed differently when it comes to scoring?
Yeah, so the practice-based questions give you a nice boost for the exam. Um, Now people don't know what the exact um like scoring, like the metric or how they weigh the exam, it has never been revealed to the public. But if you get two practice-based questions correct, you're good to go. You're pretty much good to go. And then the rest of the um, multiple choice, good. Because I'll tell you now, when I was doing the practice-based questions a couple years ago, it was one practice-based question that I was like, nah, I don't know what this is, right? But I guess I did my best. But you'll get that where you're like, ah, damn. You are stumped, you know? So um yeah, that is it. Okay. If you got the physical book, just DM me on Discord and I'm gonna reimburse you. Just show me the receipt, the digital receipt. We'll reimburse you. Okay. Anybody else have any questions about the exam objectives? Okay. All right. So I'm going to cover a little bit about why the Security Plus is good for you. Okay. So here, Security Plus is a global certification that validates the foundational cybersecurity skills necessary to perform core security functions and pursue an IT, and that should say cybersecurity career as well. Okay. So it opens the door to a cybersecurity career with the Security Plus, right? So you can launch a successful cybersecurity career, right? So you're developing those core foundations and those essential skills, right? And this makes you more attractive, more lucrative in the job market, right? And then you're assessing on the job skills, right? Security Plus is the most widely adopted ISO and ANSI accredited, right? ISO and ANSI accredited is a cybersecurity body that says, hey, man, you are certified and you know what the hell you're doing and you can go on the market. Okay. So all the questions are practical, and that proves your ability to effectively problem solve in real life situations. Okay. And then also it keeps up with the latest trends in cybersecurity. All right. So whether you're learning about a little bit about I think AI is a little bit of a concept on the exam, zero trust risk analysis, right? You're up to date once you take this exam. All right. So you prove your skills with the Security Plus, right? So CompTIA Security Plus is the first early career cybersecurity certification a candidate should earn, right? If you want to go in the government or if you want to go in cybersecurity, or even I would recommend if you even want to go in IT or sales, tech sales, have that Security Plus, right? That's going to open a world of doors for you. All right. So we just went over these and the knowledges of Security Plus, and this is how it really ranks. Okay. I think this thing's in the way. Move. Okay. So where does the Security Plus compare to everything else? Right. Well, it has performance-based questions, right, to show what you can do, right? It is vendor neutral, right? So what it means is vendor neutral, that means that, hey, you can take it anywhere, right? It's not just an AWS cert, it's not a Microsoft cert, whatever. It is vendor neutral, right? Experience level, early career, right? Entry level, right? That's what you need. Okay. And then exam focus is baseline cybersecurity skills and core cybersecurity knowledge. All right. You see that the rest of these certifications, you have to have more experience in cybersecurity. Like you have to have a security administrator job role in IT, or CEH, you have to have pen testing or ethical hacking. And so that is why the CompTIA is ranks amongst all the alternatives, right? It does have a full suite of training products as well. So that will help you just with understanding uh just test prep, or understanding terms, right? It has a lot of features for you to work off on, right? And then what are some of the jobs with Security Plus, right? So you can be a security specialist, a security administrator, systems administrator, help desk analyst. If you want to go with help desk, by all means, you can be a security analyst, and it's not showing you the rest. Okay. They need to update this drastically, but you can do risk management, you can be vulnerability management, you can do risk and compliance, you can do cybercrime. It's a lot of stuff you can do. You can go into tech sales, right, and be ahead of everyone else, right? If you go into tech sales, okay. And then we went over this, right? The where the domains rank on the exam, right? The percentages as far as the domains, okay. And then this just basically tells you about these are like CompTIA companies who take the certification, right? So um, let's just do the other companies that we know of, right? So, Deloitte, right? You have Microsoft, you have Zoom, Wells Fargo, U.S. Navy Center, right? SecureWorks, Johns Hopkins, right? These are the companies that contributed to the Security Plus uh, exam and the certification, right? So if they contributed, that means you can get a job with them, right? Because they probably require that. All right. And so 24% of the total employed cybersecurity workforce is Security Plus certified, right? Security Plus job roles have a median salary of 80K, right? In 2024, the median salary is $120,000 because people be hacking stuff. People be hacking stuff. I'm serious. The United States government alone, I'll give somebody props to guess this. Okay, guess the number of how many attacks the United States government, their federal systems, witnessed alone last year, and it's in the thousands. So somebody guess. Okay, let's see. 3,000, 3,500. No, 5,000. Nope. Oh, okay. So okay. Okay. So we're getting close. We're getting close. Georges and Aaron. We are getting close. Close. Lower than 25,000. Ooh, Deshaun got it. Deshaun got it. 22,000. 22,000 attempts on a government system to hack in your system. That is a lot. But you can see the severity of why they need cybersecurity analysts. So the US government experienced 22,000 attempts to get into their federal systems. This is across all departments, right? Imagine how many people are trying to hack a regular company, right? A regular company that may not be, um, attached to the government or anything like that. Hey, maybe it's like 10,000 attempts, maybe 5,000 attempts for a regular company, maybe a million attempts. Okay, but this is why cybersecurity is so important. Okay, so um, you can take a look at this. We'll put this in the Discord as well, and then we should be good to go. All right. Um, all right. So we're gonna start on our mini course. Um, this is the part where I tell y'all to take a break, take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at um so it's 9 for me. So I believe it's going to be like 8:31 on the East Coast, 7:31 Central Time. Come back around, yeah, 31, and we'll get started in cybersecurity concepts. Okay, sounds good. And you can turn off your cameras when y'all go on break. All right. I'll see y'all in 10 minutes. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you're back. Give me a thumbs up. Okay. All good. Okay. Hope everyone's break is good. Maybe some of y'all walked your dogs or got some water. It's Jessica cracking up. Who has dogs in here? Okay. What do y'all have?
I have a Yorkie.
Okay.
I got German
What's it
Shepherd
called?
import.
Mm.
Multi-poop, whatever. Yeah, multi-poop. Multi-poop. Yeah. I don't even know what it's called, but yeah, multi-poop.
You don't know what your dog called?
Nah, I got it for my girl as a present. So
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, that's nice. Sweet.
where's the dog at? Look, he's like, let me bring him over here. So he's a freaking handful.
You don't have to put the light on. You can see.
No, so
Uh,
where just hold on.
it's a
Just
little dark.
there you go.
Oh, oh my God, that thing looked like a toy.
It is a toy, pretty much. Yeah, it's like a toy. He's trouble. He is trouble. Maniac. It's baby.
Nice. That's nice. It was really nice. Got the dog people in here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're gonna get into what I like to call cybersecurity foundations. Okay. So we're gonna go through this lecture. I'm gonna ask a few questions, just to test people's knowledge, right? Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid if you don't know it, right? So we're gonna go through some of this and look at some foundational cybersecurity concepts. All right. So let me share my screen. Boom. All right. So what are some of the common cybersecurity terms and concepts, right? This is going to set you up for chapter 1 of the Security Plus book. All right. So let's look at some common cybersecurity terms and concepts. All right. So what is cybersecurity if you do not know? All right. Welcome to the dark side. Cybersecurity refers to a practice of protecting systems, networks, programs from digital attacks. All right. We are protecting our network. We're protecting our load balancers. We're protecting our tablets, our iPads. We're protecting our virtual networks from digital attacks, right? Because people like to hack, people like to breach. All right. And what these attacks aim to do is access, change, or destroy sensitive information, right? So that concept of CIA, right? Not the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, but the confidentiality, integrity, and availability concept, right? We want to make sure that our data is confidential. We want to make sure that we have some integrity in our data and availability, right? I need to access that data as much as we can. But the hackers, what they're doing is they're aiming to change or destroy that information, right? They're aiming to access that information and put it on the dark web so they can, sell your information for $20,000 or just, I don't know what they do with that information, right? But that is the whole aim for attacks. Okay. Now, understanding the key terms and concepts is essential not only for cybersecurity, but is very essential for the Security Plus exam. So, number one, we'll go into some common threats, right? Number one is malware, right? So, malware is a broad term that encompasses malicious software uh, designed to harm or exploit devices. All right. So, if you get malware on your machine, right? It can do harm. It can corrupt your files. It can corrupt your operating system, right? It can make your computer overheat and just die, right? Types of malware include viruses, worms, right? Worms propagate through the network from one machine to the other. You have Trojans, you have ransomware and spyware. Okay. So an example of a spyware would be, hey, if I downloaded an app and it's just watching all my movements on a computer. Or if you see your mouse moving by itself, you're hacked. Okay. They also have a thing called keyloggers. Okay. Keyloggers can look at your keystrokes and say you typed in Bank of America, right? Well, usually you will type your username and your password following that. They can copy and paste that and use it. Okay. So one thing that everyone should implement, right? And we're going to be sending some out soon, but you need to have a privacy bar or privacy clip on your computer, right? You see me now, you don't see me. You see me now, you don't see me. Okay? Have that because hackers can actually hack into that and just watch you. I'm so serious. If the FBI has these on their computer, that means you should have these on your computer. All right. So we'll supply those in a few weeks. But if you want to get your own, you can do that, right? But that is one thing you should have, right? To help protect against any spyware or any ransomware, etc. Okay. So awareness of malware types can help in developing effective defenses against them, right? Once we know about the virus or the spyware, the Trojan, etc., how do we have some type of defense to eradicate this virus? All right. So that's number one. Two, phishing. Has someone ever heard about phishing? Anyone ever heard about phishing? Raise your hand, please. Okay. We got some people that know about phishing. Who can tell me, I know the thing is on the screen, but tell me a example of phishing that may have happened to you. And I'll share an example.
Yeah. Receiving a work email that looks like it came from somebody in your company and it's not
Exactly.
really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a good example. That's a good example. Who else? Who else has had a phishing attempt?
I would say your Amazon package did not deliver. Please update your address.
Mm-hmm. Now, where'd you get that? In your email or your phone?
Email.
Email.
Yes.
Good.
The
And it was
USPS you spoke about, I did receive that as a text message.
absolutely, absolutely. And that is called, we'll learn about that, but that is called smishing. Smishing is a attack vector. Okay. Who else? I saw Jessica had one.
um, email from what looked like Chase Bank in my private account because I had Chase at the time, and they
Mm,
were telling me that they thought that they needed to verify my address for some transaction, and when I
mhm.
looked, I was like, "Why would they be emailing me this? That doesn't make sense." So I called them, and they were like, "Oh my God, no! Do not open the email." They was like, "That is not us hitting you up about it."
Yeah. Yeah, these attackers are sick. They would build web pages that look exactly like Chase Bank or um, Bank of America, etc. iPhone 202. You had one? I don't know who
Oh
that is.
yes, sir. I had an email come, and it looked just like you said, exactly like from the bank or wherever it was from, but it was like
Mhm.
one letter off in the like in the link for it when I clicked the
Mhm.
email. And so
Mhm.
like if you don't see it, like all the letters will be correct except for one, or it'll be like all the letters then like dot, like they'll have it looking exactly like it, but um I almost clicked it, and then I don't know if this counts as phishing, but I was in Atlanta and I had somebody do like an airdrop, like somebody wanted to airdrop me something,
Mhm.
and you try to accept it, and I was like, no, it happened twice in like an hour, so I'm not going back to link
Yeah,
it phone.
that might have been somebody's mixtape. Cue the
Yeah.
lines was
Wow.
just just letting
Yeah.
you know it happens in Atlanta.
There you go. I ain't going back.
All right. And then Alana has said, I've received a USPS text before and thought it was real. Yeah, yeah. And that's how they get you. They get your Instagram, your Facebook, or whatever. You know, those links are deadly, right? They almost got me, right? They almost got me twice, right? One, I go on YouTube a lot. I love watching YouTube videos. Like, I watch streamers. I watch. I like to watch like video game streams and stuff like that. I do it. I do it all. You know, soccer, etc. There was a number from Philly, and it said YouTube, but I saw the dot between the U, right? The YOU. And I was like, you know what? You almost got me. You almost got me there, right? But that's one thing. And another smart thing that just happened to me a couple of months ago, I think it was sometime in the summer, where so people will sign you up for a newsletter that you did not ask for, right? So you're like, hey, you know what? I didn't ask to be in this newsletter. Like, why are you sending me recipes about something I do not care about or I don't eat? And so you say, you know what? I'm gonna unsubscribe, right? That's the sensible thing to do, right? Unsubscribe. Well, that is a trap because once you press the unsubscribe button, yeah, you get forwarded to a server, a remote server that will, of course, take all your details or hack into your computer, right? But you see the reverse engineering of that, right? Let me sign you up for an annoying newsletter that you don't want to be a part of. And what you're going to do is unsubscribe, right? And once you unsubscribe, it's going to take you to you know, a server, a remote server that is just totally malicious, right? Waiting to steal your credentials. So these are all the things you have to think of, right? Even with phishing, right? But these attacks are impersonating legitimate organizations or legitimate companies or newsletters to steal your personal data, right? In security, personal data is crucial and it's gold for attackers. All right. Brittany just said something very important is I just mark those emails as spam to avoid clicking any links. Yeah, mark them as spam. If you see something that's fishy, mark it as spam and then just delete it. All right. Do not click any of those links, right? So that is going to be phishing in cybersecurity, right? You see this guy right here, he said, hey, let me fish your password and get all your credit card details. All right. Boom. All right. Firewalls. All right. A firewall is a network security device that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing traffic. It serves as a barrier between trusted internal networks and untrusted external networks. Okay. Properly configured firewalls can significantly reduce the risk of unauthorized access. Okay. So your firewall is going to be your first line of defense. All right. Well, not really. The first line of defense is always people in tech, right? In cybersecurity, in organizations, the front line of defense is always going to be people and making sure that they do the right things because people sometimes they accidentally breach their own company, right? But firewalls, as far as network, is going to be your first line of defense, right? Do we allow traffic from servers? Do we allow traffic from the World Wide Web? Do we allow traffic from Zoom or any of the applications like Zoom, etc.? On the firewall, you're able to manage that and configure that, right? Are we allowing port 80 traffic to come through that firewall, right? Which is unsecure internet traffic. Are we allowing port 443 traffic to come through that firewall, which is secure internet traffic, right? When you see that lock, when you see that lock on the website, on the URL, right? That tells you that the internet, the connection is secure, right? But are we allowing this traffic, right, to come through, right? Think of a firewall as, hey, when you go to the airport, right, and you have to go through TSA, they have to examine your bags for any contraband, for anything that does not look right, any drugs, weed, cocaine, all that good stuff, right? They need to examine that before you go through TSA, before you board that plane, right? So think of the firewall as a scanning machine. Hey, can we trust this traffic? If I can't, you can't come through, right? And we can configure it any way we want to. All right. So that's going to be your firewall. Encryption. All right. So encryption is the process of converting data into a coded format to prevent unauthorized access. Okay. So we have all of this data, right? And let's say the data says, Deontay Caesar, July 15th, 1993, born in Hamilton, Bermuda, and lived at, 45 Acacia Lane, right? When it's encrypted, you're taking that information and jumbling it all up into ciphertext, all right? When you jumble it up in ciphertext, it is unreadable. So that Deontay Caesar that was born on July 15th, 1993, with born in Bermuda, 4025 Acacia Lane, right? That will be in ciphertext and that will be encrypted until it needs to go where it needs to go. Okay. So for example, you see the example with symmetric encryption, right? It says, "May the force be with you," right? This is from Star Wars, right? And that is an unencrypted plain text message, right? In tech and cybersecurity, when we say plain text, that means is that you can just read whatever we have on the page or on the file, right? It's in whatever language that you know, right? Even if it's in Spanish, like, yo habla inglés, right? That's plain text, right? If we encrypt it, it's going to be scrambled up. And then once it comes to my computer, or it goes to my server, or it goes to my load balancer, that message will be decrypted and you'll see the plain text message, right? But in order to encrypt something, we have to use encryption keys. Encryption keys are very important to encrypt messages. All right. Sometimes we have one key to encrypt it and decrypt it, or sometimes we have two keys to encrypt it and decrypt the message. Okay. It really depends on what system works and when we want to use that. All right. So that is encryption. And let me go back. All right. Vulnerability. So in cybersecurity, in tech, we have vulnerabilities. A vulnerability is a weakness in a system that can be exploited by attackers, right? We also use this in warfare. Or, hey, I see a vulnerability, right? Your stomach is open. Let me punch your stomach, right? Don't go out punching people's stomachs, but you get what I'm saying, right? If we see a vulnerability in the system, how are we going to exploit it? Okay. A vulnerability could be, hey, I didn't update my OS, my operating system. My operating system, I have a Windows 7 operating system. If you have a Windows 7 operating system and it's what, 2025, you just want your stuff to be hacked. You want your data stolen, you just might as well just throw the whole computer away or update the operating system. I'm just letting you know that. All right. Make sure that things are updated to the best of its ability. You have the newest operating system, you have the newest gadgets, gizmos, right? Being updated in tech is the most important thing you can do. Why is it important? Because vulnerabilities happen to old systems, right? Older systems may be end of life, right? You're going to see a term in this chapter called EOL, right? E as in Eric, O as in Omni, L as in Louis. EOL, right? End of life. When a software is end of life, that means that they're not doing any security updates on that. Okay. So another example of a vulnerability was, remember when CrowdStrike and Microsoft happened and the airports went down and the hospitals went down, right? Yeah, Jessica, I know you seen that, right? Right? Yeah, people was trying to get to Jamaica and they couldn't go to Jamaica. You know, those things happened. Um, but there was a vulnerability because whoever was at CrowdStrike did not do the proper security assessment 101, right? A patch went out to Windows 11 that was not it was not able to just match with the system, right? Trying to find a better word for that, right? It wasn't compatible with the system. Before you send out an update to billions of computers, you must test it out on one or two computers, right? But I guess that didn't happen, right? And when you push that update out to computers all around the world, what do you happen? Oh my God, my plane has grounded. I can't go to Jamaica and get a beef patty. Oh my gosh, the hospital's down. Oh my gosh, like everything's coming to a standstill, right? But that is a vulnerability, right? And what could have happened was while those systems are down, right, that could be a loss of money, right? Or that could be a loss of integrity. So when that happened with CrowdStrike, the stock plummeted a little bit, but I think they're doing a little bit good. But somebody benefited off of that, right? Um, so regular assessments and updates are necessary to identify and mitigate vulnerabilities. All right, understanding vulnerabilities is key to improving an organization's security posture. Okay, so if you do decide to go down the risk and compliance path, right, it's less technical, but what you're doing is you're looking at a system and you're saying, hey, you know what? Y'all don't have screensavers. I just noticed that. Why don't y'all have screensavers? They're gonna be like, oh, I don't know. Well, y'all need to have screensavers because your workers on the ground floor, they move a lot, right? Your workers, they're mechanics, but they use these computers, and when they're not using the computer, they walk away. Anybody can come up to that computer and steal some data or steal some encryption keys, or if they're really good, you know, steal information from the database, right? But these are things that are important in cybersecurity. What is a threat? Well, everybody know what a threat is. Did you just make a threat to me? Right? What's a threat? Well, a threat is any circumstances or event that can cause potential harm to a system. All right. So malicious attacks, disasters, like things that are out of our control, like a tsunami, all right, or human errors. And one thing in cybersecurity, human errors are, man, listen, we're gonna watch a video that shows a guy just calling somebody's IT help desk and saying, hey, you know what, I work here. I need my credentials. And then he found somebody's credentials that used to work at the company and got access to the system because they didn't update their system on the back end, right? So you have all these things, right? Human errors, lack of processes in a business, right? My MBA guys, my two MBA guys, sorry to put you on the spot, but you have, about business processes, right? Anybody else who, I know a lot of people have their MBAs in here, which is really good, but business processes are so important to cybersecurity, right? And that's what we need to do to make sure that we're ahead of the curve, right? So identifying, assessing threats is important to this, is an important step in risk management. Incident response. Okay, if there's an incident that happens, how do we respond, right? And I would say that's one of the most important things to do in cybersecurity, right? Because when an incident happens, everyone's like, oh my God, how do we come back? How do we come back from this? Okay. But incident response refers to an organized approach to addressing and managing security breaches. So it includes preparation, detection, analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery. If we have a good recovery plan, hey, you can breach our system, right? But we're going to recover, right? A well-defined incident response plan, excuse me, a well-defined incident response plan can minimize damage and recovery time. Okay. So here's an example. MGM casinos. I don't know if anyone bets. I don't bet, but it looks interesting. No judgment if you bet, you know, not at all, right? It's your life. MGM casinos, resorts, whatever you want to call it in Vegas, they got their system hacked, right? Ooh, MGM got billions of dollars, people sports betting, et cetera, et cetera. And the hackers probably thought like, ooh, I hit the jackpot, man. I'm about to be riding off in the sunset. I got MGM. Man, listen, I'm about to ask them for like $20 million, $60 million, because I know they got it, right? But what MGM did, right? They said, hey, let's take a step to make sure that if we get attacked, we can recover fast. MGM had a separate infrastructure for their whole cybersecurity and IT operations, right? And on the cloud, you can spin this up with a click of a button. You say, hey, we have four to six different IT and cybersecurity infrastructure. If we get hacked, right, and they take our system for ransom, we can just say, hey, you can have it. Go ahead. Why? Because our recovery was we just launched a new infrastructure at a click of a button, right? Whoever hacked MGM, they was like, hey, man, I think I had the jackpot. Man, I've been waiting for this my whole life. MGM said, nah, we not gonna give you no money. It's just spent up a new environment, right? And these are the things that are so important in cybersecurity. How do you recover? And that's what we'll learn as we go through the chapters. Two-factor authentication. Who knows about two-factor authentication? Give me some examples. Okay, okay. Okay, Brittany, you got an example?
I work for Houston ISD. Anytime we're logging into a computer, you put in your username and password, and then we use Microsoft Authenticator, where it sends us a passcode that we have to type in on our phone in order for the computer to go ahead and log us in, especially if we're logging in like into a new device.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That is good. A very good example. Two-factor authentication. Protect the fortress. Who else got two-factor authentication?
Hey,
At
this is
work,
Jeremy.
we use, oh, sorry.
No, you can go ahead. You can go ahead. I can't figure out how to get my hand to raise. So go ahead, sister.
I'm sorry. It's quick. At work, we use Duo. So
Mhm.
we log in, username and
Mhm.
password, and then it has to connect through there in order to jump onto the VPN.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Emery.
Yeah, I work Sirius XM, and we have to use Okta, which
Mhm.
sends a token to us every time. It checks like every few hours, like every 6 hours, to
Mhm.
this, like, I guess that's two-factor authentication, but
Yes, sir. Yes, it
yeah,
is.
yeah. But
Yeah,
we switched to Okta recently.
absolutely. That's great. That's great. So yeah, your two-factor authentication is adding an extra layer of security, right? You're not just using your username and your password and that's it, right? We have two-factor authentication just in case someone guesses your password. Like your password could be pizza123, but they're like, hey, you know what? Deontay, I know he likes soccer. So I'm gonna put Liverpool Football Club. And I'm like, Dad, you got my password. Well, now you got to get through the two-factor authentication, right? And the challenge question, right? And the retinal scan. No, I'm playing. But you have those. You have those, right? So having two different forms of identification to gain access to account is very important. All right. And this is what is standard across most systems. Somebody else had a example of two-factor authentication?
Oh yeah, when we sign into Gmail, we have to put in our password, and then it also makes us match up the numbers that we receive on our phone with what's at the in the computer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Password manager, for sure. For sure. I love that. Let's see. Somebody said something in the chat. Gmail. Yep. Yep. Alana said she was thinking Gmail as well. That's great. Two minds think alike. That's good. That's good. All right. Social engineering. Okay. Social engineering is the manipulation of individuals into divulging confidential information. Attackers exploit human psychology. Okay, 80% of this industry is human psychology, right? I said that yesterday and I'll keep saying it until I'm out the industry. 80% of cybersecurity is human psychology, right? Attackers exploit human psychology rather than technical abilities. Okay, so tampering with usernames or tampering with people's PII, which is personal identifiable information, right? That is just really social engineering in cybersecurity, right? So, for example, social engineering is also known as human hacking, right? So we are manipulating somebody, right? So the social engineer will gather the information about their victims, right? So someone can literally go on the internet, right, and actually pull um, information about me. I've done it before, right? It has where I lived at in college. It has the address I had in Philly. It had my phone number. It had my mother's phone number. It had my pop phone number. It had my grandmother's phone number. It had all of that, I swear to you, right? And they could say, "Oh, where did he work at?" Okay, oh yeah, Deontay worked at Temple University. Oh, he worked at Arcadia University. He worked at Slack. He worked at Salesforce. Okay. And then they could say, hey, you know what? Let me call AT&T and let me try to get some more details. And they say, hey, can you confirm some things, sir? Where's your last address? Well, my last address was Cary Drive. Okay, what's your mother's maiden name? Blase, blase. You get the what I'm trying to say, right? A digital profile can be built from public information online. It's very necessary of what you put online, right? It's very necessary that you watch what you give to people, right? Watch what you give to companies. Um, Someone could have, you know, your social security number, not all of it, but they may be missing 2 digits. And they're like, I just need the 2 digits. How can I find the 2 digits? Okay. And they can figure out, hey, when is this person born? Okay, so what is the algorithm likely, for their social security number to end in O2 or O3, you know? These things are real, right? And sometimes with social engineering, those people are building trust, and you may think that it might be a real person on the other end, but it could be a hacker, right? For example, has anyone gotten those Nigerian prince emails? No disrespect to anybody that is Nigerian, right? But has anyone heard of it or gotten them?
I get not the Nigerian ones. I get ones from other areas, but it's someone clearly offshore.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you get those. Hey, I'm a rich guy, I'm in love with you, all right? And there are people who are, need love, right? That's a demand that's out there, right? Or someone who's looking for a quick come up, you know. Um, you have those out there, and sometimes people are desperate, right? Um, who's um who's familiar with the brand Honey Pot? I know it's like yeah, Honey Pot. Yeah. I was at Afrotech and she said she got scammed by someone as she started her business, right? And she got scammed for $25,000, right? $25,000. She picked up the phone. Who was it? It was a Nigerian guy, right? I don't know if he was Igbo or Yoruba, but she heard him and she said, "Shame on you," but had to charge it to the game, right? So those things are real, right? Those things are absolutely real, right? But again, no offense to anyone who's Nigerian, but we have to use those real world examples, right? I got scammed before, India, right? I was building an app with my brother, spent $20,000. App was like, oh yeah, yeah, we're building it, right? And one of the things is when you're so desperate, sometimes this is how they get you. You're like, what do I got to do to get this done? Well, you got to pay more. What do I got to do to get this done? Pay more, right? So this is really hitting on human emotions, right? So this is why we say 80% of the job, right, is human psychology and understanding humans. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? And it's okay. I made the $20,000 back, but I was ready to go I was ready to go there and do some things, but I didn't. So data breach. All right, so a data breach occurs when unauthorized individuals gain access to sensitive data. All right, so breaches can result from hacking, insider threats, or accidental exposure. Okay, so again, hacking into a system, an insider threat, right? We have corporate espionage, which is a real thing. Okay, so someone from Google may go to Microsoft, or Google and Microsoft can be in cahoots, etc. Right? But people get hired sometimes as a corporate espionage, and from there on, they may be looking at trade secrets, right? I forget, I'm blanking on the company, but I know one company they hired a North Korean spy, and the guy was like legit. He's like, hey, I'm Korean, from South Korea, but born in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. He was American, right? But he was a spy for North Korea. I don't know why, but they hired him, and then they found out, and they're like, "Dag." He got into our systems, or he at least maybe knows about what we're about to do next. All right, so this is very real, right? It's a real thing. All right, so having breach response plans are important. Incident management, response plans, very important. Patch management. Okay, so patch management involves regularly updating software to fix vulnerabilities. So timely application of patches is critical for protecting systems from known threats. Proactive patch management strategy reduces the risk of exploitation, right? So when we have this patch management plan, we are making sure that we do the updates, right? If we have viruses, we make sure we remediate them, and then we have a plan to make sure that the system is patched up, that virus cannot get into the system. Georges, what's going on?
So I have a question regarding patch management. It says
Yeah.
here it's to fix vulnerability vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
For the vulnerabilities, does it happen because let's just say Microsoft realizes there's a new attack or new ways to hack information, or it's through scanning their system they're noticing a vulnerability? Is it one way or the other, or both?
You are right on the money. It's both. Okay.
Okay.
If I'm scanning my system and I see, hey, there are a couple CVEs um in there, right, that need to be remediated and patched up, right, we'll do that. Okay. If I have software that's maybe out of date, or a software patch, hey, we got some bugs here and there. When I press on a certain button in the application, it freezes up and restarts, right? Those are that's patching, right? So we have to fix patches, and then we have to test them, right? Again, I'll go back to the CrowdStrike example with Microsoft. They sent out a patch. It was not compatible with the system, but they needed to send out the patch because the patch could have been exploited, right? There was a vulnerability, and we need to patch that up before someone actually does something about that. So you'll learn about different ways we patch things, why we patch things throughout the chapter. You'll learn about 0-day vulnerabilities, which is a vulnerability. It's a vulnerability that is not known yet, right? A 0-day, right? It's 0 days in the wild. We call the wild just the World Wide Web, but basically no one knows about it and it can be exploited, right? So having timely applications of patches is critical, right? We want to patch things up as soon as we can when something breaks. All right. Go ahead. You have another question?
Yes. Can you please explain to me how does you said something expires, or a patches expire? My
Mm.
question is, what happens exactly when it expires? Because 2 days ago it was working. How does, I guess, on the back end, how does that expire?
Okay, so when I said something expires, so what I really mean is, for example, let's say in the system, um, patches can be a lot of different things. It can be operating system updates. It could be um, viruses in the database, right? It could be bugs, right? But what we're doing when it comes to patching is, hey, let's say my operating system is out of date. I'm using Windows 7, right? Well, the patch is really you're updating the operating system to like Windows 11 or something like that. Okay. Or it could also be like, hey, um, this system used to run on Linux, but it's no longer supported on Linux. We have to switch it to Mac OS or Windows OS, right? So that's what I mean about patch management, right? The solution has expired, right? We need to find a better viable solution. And what we do is we patch that up to fix the vulnerability. Does that answer your question? Well, that's
Yes,
basically
the
what it.
last part did. Before it
uh,
didn't, but the last part, yes, it's now I understand. It's the old solution doesn't work anymore, so basically they expired. So now we
yeah,
have something new. Okay.
yeah,
I thought
absolutely.
something happened in the program specifically or the code that made it expire, or they had a time frame for it to work, and then there's something new.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. We're introducing, sometimes you get new inventions too, right? This code was good, it was Python, and then we have a better code, a more updated Python, language that we want to use, right? So obviously that Python code is expired or out of date, right? Think about it that way.
Okay, good. Yeah, that makes more sense. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Who else? Deshaun, I think you had a question?
Yeah, I just had like a real world scenario to kind of just add some, you know, like real world connection. So think of it in this capacity. If you have, let's say, Bank of America's app downloaded on your phone, an example of like patch management from the Bank of America's team is when your iOS or your Google device updates and the app won't allow you to log in. Most times, the organization won't even be aware that a patch has occurred until they're made aware of like a system not working properly in most instances. So the patch management is simple as them going in on the back end, realizing the bug in the code to make it align with like any new updates and just sending that new code out. So a good like idea is when, sometimes you're trying to log into your bank mobile system and it say, hey, our network is unavailable at this time. In most cases on the back end, they just doing patch management as it relates to whatever is going on the back end. And, pretty shortly after is able to like update. But patch management is different from like software updates in the sense that it's more related to like a specific program, tool, or software, while like updates or system updates are more so to like change a particular system, integrate like new features, stuff like that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Absolutely. So all of this helps with having a strategy to update our systems, update our bugs in the software, etc. Right? So we want to make sure that our systems are mission critical systems, because that's one thing that's important in this field. Mission critical systems. How do we make money? Right? If we make money through our banking app or if we make money through, our retail store, we have to patch any vulnerability that is out there, right? So what Deshaun said, a really good example. But sometimes those companies will have some downtime. Baron, go ahead, Baron.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of add to that a little bit. Like the way I kind of see patch management is like I know some people that they work in cybersecurity and they they work on like the coding for like defenses. So like when people hackers that are constantly trying to find new ways to get behind defenses, so you have to like constantly patch that, new techniques are being found because the way I see security is the defense that is made is basically for attacks that have happened, we find ways to prevent those attacks. So when new attacks happen and they're different, we have to find new ways to prevent those type of attacks. That's kind of how I see patch management. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay, cool.
No problem. That is patch management, ladies and gentlemen. It is a tough job if you're a developer or if you're someone who is managing IT systems, because sometimes you have to talk to the developers and make sure software code is updated. And then the developers tell you, hey, okay, we fixed the code on, on the back end. Now you have to go into, the computer systems and update this OS, or you need to, update, this server configuration for all of it to work. All right. So you can see how a lot of it teams have to play on each other to make sure that we have a full patch management rollout at the end of the day. Cool. Denial of service, DOS, right? Denial of service attacks aim to make a system or service unavailable to users. Attackers overload a system with traffic, causing it to crash or become slow, right? So implementing rate limiting and traffic analysis can help mitigate DOS attacks, right? So if you see denial of service, DOS or DDoS, that means that a server or computer network, whatever, is getting attacked. Currently, right? Thousands of botnets are going to that server and wreaking havoc, right? And the aim is to get it to slow down and crash, all right? That is the aim. So it will become slow and you can't do nothing. And you're like, hey, why can't I log on to Gmail? Well, that will never happen to Gmail, but that is like the aim, right? We're gonna crash it, we're gonna bring down the servers, etc., right? And sometimes you have to put in rate limiting, right? How many connections can be allowed on that server, right? Also looking at traffic, right? We have things like Wireshark to examine the network traffic, and then we go from there. All right. So that is distributed denial service. A SIM, Security of Information and Event Management System. So a SIM is a security solution that aggregates and analyzes security data from various sources, right? So just think of, let's just say I'll use, for example, my iPad, right? Say this is the SIM, right? Well, if this is the SIM, that means all sources of data that may be coming from, um, you know, it could be coming from iPhones. It could be coming from tablets. Could be coming from laptops, right? All of that data is going to the SIM, right? So the SIM is basically the central hub for security data, right? And the central hub for real-time analysis, all right? So everything that is connected to the SIM, the central hub, will get analyzed and then we'll use it in mitigation strategies, okay? We can detect and respond with the SIM. And there you go, right? So I think let me see, my videos over this, right? But you can see log collections, event correlations, IT compliance, log retentions, all of that gets transported to the SIM, right? So the SIM could be hectic and really bombarded with data, right? So just think of the SIM as the central hub for real-time reporting, okay? So if you're a SOC analyst and you're just watching the SIM, right? You are seeing if anything looks fishy or suspicious. And there you go. All right. That is your SIM. Zero trust. So zero trust is a model that assumes no one should be trusted by default. It requires continuous verification of user identities and devices. Okay. So with zero trust, I don't care if you're a senior technical architect or a senior developer and you've been at my company for 30 years, we will not trust you logging into the system, right? You have to verify yourself. You have to show who your identity is, right? And then you get granted access to the system. That is zero trust. All right. So it could be, it used to be where, hey, if I'm a developer, man, I've been there for 30 years, man. I got seniority, man. I don't need to verify who I am, bro. I built the system. But now we have zero trust where it says, I don't trust you. I don't care who you are. So that's one concept that's definitely good and that's definitely implemented. All right. We got about 10 more minutes left. All right. Try to go through this. So we'll also learn about cybersecurity frameworks to provide structured approaches to managing cybersecurity risks, right? So you have frameworks like NIST and ISO that offer guidelines for implementing security best practices, right? So we'll learn about NIST special publication 853. And then you also have those other frameworks. You have, a SOC, SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3 audits, etc. Right? And these are best recommended practices, right? If you're a business owner, you have machines, you have Windows, you have iPads and all that good stuff. You don't have to do this, right? But it's recommended, right? You companies would do business with you if you're certified, um, if you have these certifications like your SOC 1, your SOC 2s, your SOC 3s, right? We can literally go to Google right now and type in SOC 2, SOC 3, right? And that means that, hey, you've done the proper security audits on your system, and that means we can trust you with our data, right? Because many companies do business with each other and they share data with each other. And if I'm going to share data with your business, you better have one of these certifications, or else it's a dud. All right. So that's what you need to know from cybersecurity frameworks as we go into that. Endpoint security, right, is protective measures, right, for devices like computers and smartphones. So antivirus software, right? Was it McAfee? McAfee, Norton, Malwarebytes. You have your firewalls, your IDSs, your intrusion detection systems, and then your endpoint security, right? So those are good just to detect things in real time. And then we have our risk assessment, right? So we talked about risk assessment, and that is the process of identifying and evaluating risk to an organization's assets. It helps organizations understand their vulnerabilities and prioritize their security measures, okay? So again, you're looking at organizations and you're saying, hey, you could do a little bit of two-factor authentication here. You can do a little bit of screensavers here. Over here, you're doing good, not giving developers direct access to the database, but you might need a jump server, right? A jump server is a server where developers will access that jump server, right? And that will be a mitigation point between the jump server and the database. So basically, the developers do not have direct access to the database. Because if I'm a developer and I'm pissed off and I want to mess up some code, I can do that if I have direct access to the database. Okay. So that's why we have risk assessments, right? What can we do to strengthen our system? And this might be, yeah, cybersecurity awareness training, right? So the best return on investment for cybersecurity is training your staff, making sure people understand, hey, what is an insider threat? What is phishing? I don't know what phishing is. You know that one employee that like fails all the phishing emails? That person, yeah, they need more and more training because they keep getting called into the office saying, "Hey man, you failed your phishing test 3 times and we gave you redos," right? But cybersecurity awareness training is very, very important. All right. And it is all a push to make sure that everyone has this one consciousness that we're empowering staff to recognize and respond to potential security incidents. Because believe it or not, companies set themselves up. It's their staff, right? Their staff says, hey, you know what? This email looks legit. It came from Kathy. Kathy's she needs some money and she's in the Czech Republic and she doesn't have her wallet and she says she'll cash at me later. You know what? Kathy, I'll click this link so I can send you some money. And then boom, we got access to all the records. And it was the employee who clicked on it. And your business can come crashing down. Okay. So there's a premium when it comes to cybersecurity awareness training, right? And that is something that is very important that you should take within your career, take everywhere. You can become a freelancer, a consultant like myself, and train people in cybersecurity awareness and say, hey, you know what? Your security team and your sales team failed these exams. We have some work to do. And they'll say, how much does it cost? You say 50,000 for your organization, but I'll give you a discount. We'll do it for 45. But it's a way for them to save money and to strengthen their business, right? So that's why cybersecurity awareness training is important. All right. So in conclusion, understanding common cybersecurity terms and concepts is crucial for every organization. Staying informed about evolving threats and defenses can enhance overall security. All right. So we have to have proactive measures and education. These are key when coming up with components in cybersecurity. Okay. So that concludes our lecture for today, Tuesday. All right. Just understand tomorrow I will be with family. So I'll let y'all know by tomorrow noon if we have class or not. I'm thinking what y'all can do tomorrow is do a little bit of icebreaker, get to know each other in the cohort because you'll be with each other for another 13 weeks. So just wait for Lacole's instruction and she will let you know in the Discord. Okay. Otherwise, other than that, everyone did an amazing job today with examples, with breaking concepts down to each other, which is good. This is what I want to happen in this cohort. And yes, we are on our way to passing the exam. We're on our way to getting our hands-on skills. So without further ado, everyone, go get some well-deserved rest tonight. And I'll let you know about tomorrow, okay? Everyone, have a great night.
You as well.
Thank
All right.
you.
Deontay, my condolences again. And if you need to take tomorrow, just take tomorrow, man. Like we're not gonna melt if
For
you know what
sure.
I mean. You take
For
the
sure.
evening.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you. I'll
Deontay,
be
I have
here
a
for
question.
any extra questions or anything, okay?
Hi, Deontay, it's Franz. How are
Hey,
you?
what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well, thanks. I have a question. The Security Plus certification, is this a certification we need to maintain once we have it? Meaning, every year we need to take CEUs, or once you have it, it's done, you have it.
So you have to have CUs once every, I believe, 3 years. What we do in our cohort is once you get the certification, you can come back and mentor newer cohorts, and that counts towards your Security Plus certification. So this is by far the easiest way for you to get CEUs, um, just to mentor. And what we do is we just document it, and then you'll have that PDF for that Excel sheet, and you can just submit it to CompTIA directly. So easiest way,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah, and then also remember that attending conferences, um, writing articles, chatting to people, doing talks and stuff like that. You can go, for example, if you went to Mixer Cloud, the networking event, or I met you at the Black Men in Tech conference.
Correct.
Those are continuing education credits that you can just write down, and you say, let's just say you did 10 hours. You did
Gotcha.
10 hours, you can put that on paper and be good. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. No problem. I'm here for any other questions anybody has.
I have a question, Deontay. Will we have a class syllabus? Because I would like to keep up with like how the order that we're going to be learning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, on your curriculum agreement, there's a class syllabus there. We will send that more towards the first week, because a lot of that has to be redacted, just due to competitors or to the people who aren't in the program after this week. So you'll receive that. Well, you have it in your curriculum agreement, but you'll receive a copy no later than Monday morning. So, okay. Let's see. Somebody has something in the chat. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Could you repost the Discord link is here? Oh yeah, because Baron wanted it. Yeah, I got you. Let me do that right now. Discord link, Discord link. Excuse me.
My question is, and I see that Bree put it in the chat as well, but yes, when will the recording be available and when will the slideshow be sent out?
So the recordings are available right after really it renders. So I usually put it in between nighttime and the morning time. So no later than 15 hours, right? So you'll get it right then and there. Okay. And then the slides. So we start to add people to the slides on the first week. Okay. Um, I'll probably most likely send this slide out to everyone just to have it, right? But usually, so just to give you some more context, usually once everyone they feel like they're committed to the cohort and the program, we start to add you to the G Drive. We start to give you the study materials and all that good stuff, right? Just so we have it, right? Because we want to maintain some type of exclusivity, as we enter the cohort.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Still says invalid. Let's see what's going on. Let's see. I can put in a new link. Right. Try that. See if that works. All right. Any other questions? I know y'all got some questions. I'm ready for
Yes, I had a question.
them. Okay, let's go.
What were you saying that the rest of the schedule will be like for this week?
So it's really tricky. So tomorrow I have a funeral to go to. And I'll be with my family all day tomorrow.
Hmm.
I'm thinking of some solutions. I may want y'all to just do some icebreakers tomorrow. So I'll let you know if we actually do that. I'll just have my other instructors come in and fill in for me. Thursday is going to be no class because I should be traveling back to Houston. And then Friday we'll have class, right? And then Monday will be, hey, this is chapter 1 of the Security Plus cohort. So that's how it works.
Okay, that sounds good.
No problem. You got the link, right?
I got the link. I'm just trying to see if I can get it open properly. Just a moment here.
Okay.
Monday is the holiday.
Oh yeah. Monday is the holiday. Shoot. So it'll be Tuesday. Yeah. Keep forgetting about MLK Day on the Monday. Okay. Thank you, Britt. All right. Who else? Who else? Who else got some questions for me?
I have another question.
Okay.
Where are the slides? I know you said it will be for about 15 hours, whatever, till it renders. But where would they be posted at?
So the Zoom recording will be rendered in a second.
Oh yeah, that's what I
We
mean.
usually
Where is Zoom recording be posted at? I'm sorry.
it'll be posted in the Discord. Everything is going to be posted in that Discord.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Okay.
Okay, and I was able to finally get in there.
Good. Good. All right.
Did I need to fill out that form from yesterday? I never was able to get that filled out.
Application form. Yeah. Let me put it in the chat for everyone. Okay. Well, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna I got it here, but I'm gonna actually put it in the I'm gonna put it into the Discord. Okay, so just fill that out when you can. Okay,
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
no problem. Who can I help? Aaron, do you have a question?
I have a question.
No, I don't.
Okay, kind of just hanging out. Okay, problem.
Just hanging, yep.
Okay, cool. What's going on, Georgie?
Yeah, I'm more interested in the app that you did with your brother. Is
Oh,
it still active?
heck no. We never got it done. So,
Oh.
and I didn't know, I think back then I didn't know about risk management, right? I knew how to how an app should be built, right? And I'm no software developer, right? At all. But
Hmm.
looking back at it, it was like, yeah, we got served to the wolves, man. We went through a mutual friend, and then it was kind of like he hit a lick. He just wanted his money. And then I mean, companies will do that, right? That sometimes can be their business model. We're in India, you're in the United States, and if you come to India, you're not gonna know where we're at, right? So
Yeah.
that's how it is, you know.
Actually, it happened to me as well with back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was we had hired through Upwork actually. We had hired someone through Upwork,
Hmm.
and they kept us updated continuously
Hmm.
with they kept us updated continuously uh with pictures and everything like that, but they never gave us the source code. And once
Oh,
we yeah, so at the end, they when we contacted Upwork to say, hey, we don't have anything, or they said no, the person took the money and they took the money out of their account the
and
second day.
deactivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How and we were lucky. What happened? The same guy contacted us through another. He made a new profile, contacted us, and we suspected it was him. We played along, and then we told him, "Hey, in order to make that payment, uh, we know it's you. Give us what we want, and then we'll send you a final payment." And then we did, but we were working with Upwork, so he sent us the source code. We sent the money, but Upwork
Mhm.
blocked his
Mhm.
account. So
Gotcha.
the final payment. So we were lucky in that end, but it was a roller
Yeah.
coaster.
That's, I mean, and it's good that you went through like Upwork or Fiverr because we didn't do that. We just went straight direct. And if you want to build an app, right, it's good to go with these companies because, if something happens, you can get your money back. You can,
Yes.
put in a claim, fight it. So yeah, that's good.
Yes. I think now companies wait. They tell you, hey, you can't take the money out until 5 days, 7 days. I think to prevent stuff like that.
Mm, for sure. For sure. All right. Okay, I'm here to open. I'm open for questions for whoever has questions. Good night, y'all. See you. Okay. Zoom user. Who's Zoom user?
I think it was somebody, but then they left and then it
Oh, okay.
switched the name. I
Oh,
saw it
okay.
happen in real time. So
Oh, no problem. Okay.
you thought we got hacked?
I hope not. All right. Well, if there's no questions, no more questions, I'm gonna log off. But everything that we discussed, I'm gonna start putting in the Discord for tonight. So we should be good to go. We should be good to go. All right.
Thank you for a wonderful class day.
No problem. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Amazing first class. Amazing first class. All right. So I'll see everybody, okay?
Good night.
Good night.